Go ahead.
Peace. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How you doing,
I'm doing good, brother.
brother? Good, good.
What are we going to discuss today?
Well, we're going to discuss we the people, or we the people dealing with the Constitution has to be addressed because for some apparent reason, everyone believes that we the people encompasses everyone, and that is far from the truth. So before we can discuss but before we discuss the preamble and we the people and what that means, since we're addressing Moors, Goran, I'm
Hmm.
afraid the document that they constantly read pertaining to Noble Drew Ali, and that would be the divine warning by the prophet for the nations.
Okay.
All right. So the citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitutions, are all one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and the principles that delude to slavery. It says, I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to that state of mind, to their forefathers' divine and national principles, that they will be law abiders and receive their divine right as citizens according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish Divine National Movement, which is incorporated in the government and recognized by all other nations of the world. And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's government and not under a granted privilege as has been the existing condition for many generations. You who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those that know law in the city hall and among the officials in your government and ask them under an intelligent tone, and they would be glad to render you a favorable reply, for they are glad to see me bring you out of darkness into light. Money doesn't make the man, it is a free national standard and power that makes a man in a nation. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver and commerce along, belong to the citizens alone, and without your national citizenship, by name and principles, you have no true wealth. And I am hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a national free government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of government. I am depending on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate and will love according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national constitution of the United States of America. I'm not going to read the rest of that, Green.
Yeah.
I'm going to just stop it there so we can discuss this
Okay.
with the Moorish family.
Okay.
So the question is, why do we, or why do the prophet feel that there is a free national government and that we are under the constitutional fold of government?
I don't know. Which freed national government? We don't have a national government.
There is no such thing as a free national government or free national constitution. There's no such thing. A free national name. What is it? What is that?
It's not Moorish American.
It most certainly is not. Because Moorish American is not a nationality. So the question for you, the Moors, why do you believe that you are under the constitutional fold of government? And why have you not researched that for yourselves to see if, in fact, that is true?
I don't know what constitution that they think that they're under. If they're under what state constitution or they're under the federal constitution.
Now, see, what this is about, more is that we're going to show you a new narrative because this is wrong. And we're going to show you why. Now, the prophet, Noble Drew Ali claimed to be a prophet here, and he tells you in the fourth paragraph, he says, "You who doubt whether I, the prophet, my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those that know law in the city hall and among the officials." Now, the city hall, that's valid. That's where you would go for local government.
Right. That's where your power's at.
That's where your power is.
That's
But
where you vote.
but the thing that's interesting, as I stated before, Noble Drew Ali told you in the 101 that he was born in North Carolina. And then right after he says that his nationality is Moorish American.
That's double-mindedness.
That is being double-minded. Now, anyone in the Bible clearly tells you anyone that's double-minded is considered to be unstable. So what we're going to show you here, Moors, is this. This is why he's double-minded. It's either one or two things. Either Noble Drew Ali was double-minded, or he knew that we were state citizens, and he kept that for himself so he could benefit and also keep from being usurped by anyone else that, comes into the movement and tries to take over, because they themselves would not know the true nationality. Because in the fourth paragraph, if you look at the end here, it says here, he says, "I am hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a free national government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States." Right? And he says, "Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of government, and I am depending on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold." But the
Mm.
Constitution of the United States, let's look at the preamble. The preamble of the Constitution, what does it say? It says, do you have that up, Green? I'm not seeing your screen yet. I'm sorry.
Nope. Nope. I don't have no constitution now.
Okay, it's okay. So it says, "We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America."
Mhm.
So when it says "we the people of the United States in order to form a more perfect union," that was the purpose of the Constitution, only to form a more perfect union with the several states of the Union.
Right.
It did not involve everyone, like the federal government, the insular, the federal territories and insular possessions, and the several states. You think it included all of that? No, it did not. The Constitution is nothing but a contract that regulates government and its agencies.
Period.
So, Moors, we are not in this document.
And we're not under this document.
So, if we're not under this document, this clearly lets you know that Noble Drew Ali is in error. And if anyone feels that we are in error, please feel free to come up and defend your prophet. He says, through your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by said national government in which they live. He said the 14th and 15th Amendment brought the North and South in unit, placing the Southerners who were at that time without power with the constitutional body of power.
That's wrong.
So what we're going to show you here is because, again, when he was double-minded, he told you, what did he say about the state's governments, Kareem? One moment here. In the third paragraph, he says here, and this is why you know he was double-minded. In the third paragraph, there is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish divine national movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world.
Incorporated.
And
Yeah.
through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's government and not under a granted privilege, as has been the existing condition for many generations.
And there's a separation right there where it states the Constitution of the state government and not under a granted privilege, which is the federal government,
Absolutely correct.
which
That's
consists
right.
of the 14th Amendment citizens, granting privileges and immunity.
So all you Moors who think that the federal government has the power, the federal government does nothing but offer granted privileges. They grant you privileges. The state's government is where your rights are. But when you claim Moorish American as your nationality, you are saying that you're an African American, because Moorish American and African American are synonymous terms. You cannot find the term Moorish American in law anywhere as a form of protection. It's not there. Furthermore, the Moorish Science Temple of America received a charter. And last I checked, a charter grants permission for Drew Ali to do what he desired to do. And that was create a religious organization. He started with a civic organization, but for some reason, he converted it over to a religious organization. And I believe that was for monetary purposes. Because as we know, our people are very religious-minded people. Please expound on that, Kareem, on We the People. Because there's a case you said we're going to have to discuss that's going to bring, and we're going to read a court case that's going to help shed light on this situation. And that court case is called that would be a court case called Alfred Stunt versus the Steamboat, Ohio, April of 1855.
Okay. All right.
It's a 30-page case. It's a court case with a total of 30 pages. We, of course, will only address the highlighted portions of the case, which will start on page 20.
Okay.
Should I begin that? Or you just let me know when you want me to start that, Kareem?
Yeah, I want you to start here in the first page, right here. These 4 points right here.
Okay.
The provision of the Constitution of the United States.
Done. All right.
Yeah.
The provision of the Constitution of the United States, expressly conferring appellate jurisdiction on the Supreme Court, does not authorize
The exercise,
the exercise of appellate power by that tribunal over the state's court over the state courts, but extends simply to appeals from the subordinate federal courts. 2, there is no provision in the Constitution from which a supervising power in the Supreme Court of the United States over the state's courts can be derived by way of incident or implication.
you see what it said?
Mm-hmm.
So Supreme Court is not over top of any other state court. There's no provision in the Constitution that says that. Okay,
Read that again.
Yeah, read it again.
The Supreme Court of the United States has not been constituted the exclusive tribunal of last resort to determine all controversies in relation to conflicts of authority between the federal government and the several states of the Union.
Right.
4, the state courts and the federal courts are coordinate tribunals, having concurrent jurisdiction in numerous cases, but neither having a supervising power over the other. And where the jurisdiction is concurrent, the decision of that court, or rather of the courts of that judicial system in which the jurisdiction first attaches, is final and conclusive as to the parties.
You see? So when you have people that want to take their case up to the Supreme Court of the United States, you're wrong in doing so.
Mm-hmm.
Their power in court is in the state themselves. That's what this case is about. People getting the wrong idea of thinking that the Supreme Court of the United States is over top of every other court in every aspect of law, and it's not. Your power is in your backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Stop going over to someone else's jurisdiction in order to seek help. Your remedy is right there. Okay, this is page 20.
All right.
Yep.
Those who insist on the appellate power of the Supreme Court of the United States in question cannot consistently repudiate the authority of the Federalists. The preamble to the Constitution has been appealed to in support of the doctrine that the Constitution of the United States was ordained and established by and for the people of the states collectively as a distinct community or nation. This argument is founded upon a mere literal interpretation of the preamble, wholly disregarding the true authority by which the Constitution was established, the source from which its powers were derived, and the true nature and objects of the powers delegated. The preamble reads, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, etc., do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America." What is here meant by the expression, "we, the people of the United States," no, excuse me, let me correct that. What is here meant by the expression, "we, the people of the United States"? It expresses the authority by which the thing was done. It means the people by whose authority the Constitution was formed and ratified. It was the act of forming and ratifying the Constitution which ordained and established it. It was formed by delegates appointed by the representatives of the people of the several states and their respective state legislators. And it was ratified by the several states through a convention of delegation in each state, elected by the people of the state, each state in doing the same, acting for itself and by the authority of its people as a separate and independent nation.
Okay, hold on. It says through a convention of delegates in each state. Elected by the people of the state. Therefore, the delegates are the ones that sign the Constitution. not the people.
The 39 signatures,
Right,
which is the state representatives.
right.
That's right. And
That's who
those are the
ratified it.
people that's under the constitutional fold, Moors, not we, not we, the
You.
people of the several states of the Union.
Okay.
The Constitution, therefore, was ordained and established not by the whole people of the United States collectively or in mass as a distinct community, but by the several states, the people of each acting in the name and body authority of their state as a distinct, independent, sovereign people. It is therefore incontestable that the words of the preamble, we the people of the United States, means the people of the several states of the Union, not collectively and in mass, but as the people of distinct, independent states acting by their respective separate states' authorities and forming a compact with each other and establishing a federal government or governments, the parties to which were distinct communities or independent states, as contradistinguished from the people of all the states taken collectively or in mass.
You see? See what it says?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Expound on it. Go ahead.
Yeah. Inform to is informing a compact with
Mm-hmm.
each other, establishing a federal government or governments, the parties too. That means this is the contract that's going on here, to which were distinct communities, talking about the states, or
Mm-hmm.
independent states from the people of all states taken collectively or in masses. In other words, it wasn't the masses, it was the delegates only.
Right. That's right.
Okay, go ahead.
At the time of the formation of the Constitution, the states were members of the Confederacy united under the style of the United States of America and upon the express condition that each state retain what? Its sovereignty, its freedom, and independence.
Read that
At,
again.
at the time of the formation of the Constitution, the
Hmm.
states were members of the Confederacy united under the style of the United States of America and upon the express condition that each state retains its sovereignty, freedom, and independence.
Okay. So therefore, this is saying that there was a constitution before this constitution.
Absolutely.
What's the name of it?
Articles of Confederation?
There you go.
That's
So
right.
in order to, there's already a union going on there with Articles
Mhm.
of Confederation. Therefore, they made another constitution, which is this constitution, to create a more perfect union. And the style is still the same, the United States of America. What's the word? Perpetual union? Continuously.
Perpetual.
Yeah, perpetual union,
Hmm.
continuously, unbroken.
Hmm.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No problem, brother. Okay. Uh, we the people. And the considering that under the Confederation, we the people of the United States of America, indubitably signified the people of the several states of the Union as free, independent, and sovereign states. Coupled with the fact that the Constitution was a continuation of the same Union and a mere revision or remodeling of the Confederation, is absolutely conclusive that by the term the United States is meant the several states united as independent and sovereign communities.
There you go.
And that's right. I'm going to say it again. We, the people of the United States of America, indubitably signified the people of the several states of the Union as free, independent, and sovereign states, coupled with the fact that the Constitution was a continuation of the same Union and a mere revision or remodeling of the Confederation, is absolutely conclusive that by the term the United States is meant the several states united as independent and sovereign communities, and by the words, we the people of the United States, is meant the people of the several states as distinct and sovereign communities, and not the people of the whole United States collectively as a nation.
Right.
The preamble declares that the Constitution was ordained and established for the United States of America. And as the United States means the several states united by compact under a federal government of limited and expressly defined powers, it follows that the Constitution was ordained and established for the people of the several states as distinct communities by whom it was ordained and established. The omission to enumerate the states by name by which and for which the Constitution was ordained and established makes nothing against this interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
It appears from the proceedings in the convention which formed the Constitution that the first draft of the Constitution contained an enumeration of the states by name after the word people. But after the adoption of the seventh and last article, providing that the ratification of the conventions of 9 states should be sufficient for the establishment of this Constitution between the states so ratifying the same, it became necessary to strike out the enumeration of the states by name, which was accordingly done. See Madison's Debates, Volume 1, page 1539.
So that's why it says we the people of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The objects for which the Constitution was ordained and established are explicitly defined in the preamble. Had the object been to abolish the states as independent and sovereign communities and establish a national government for the American people collectively as constituting one consolidated, distinct community, it would have effected a change far greater than that which was effected by the American Revolution. And that purpose would have been manifested by provisions leaving no ground for cavil or doubt. But the objects of the Constitution declared in the preamble differ very little from the purposes of the Confederation as declared in the 3rd number of the Articles of Confederation. The objects announced in the Constitution are to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. These purposes are very far from indicating an intention to establish a consolidated national government. The first purpose named is that of forming a more perfect union, thus recognizing the existing union between the several states under the Confederation and simply proposing to render it more perfect. What union is here contemplated? The question admits of but one answer. The union between the independent and sovereign states already existing. The federal character of the government is here explicitly declared as distinguished from a consolidated national government of the American people. And when we consider the Constitution as ordained and established by the people of the several states for themselves as distinct and sovereign communities, the objects announced in the preamble are plain and easy of comprehension. They were to perfect their union as distinct and sovereign communities, to establish justice among them, to ensure their domestic tranquility, to provide for their common defense and general welfare, and to secure the blessings of liberty to them and their posterity as the people of several distinct communities. And the provisions in the body of the Constitution in every article, when correctly construed, fully confirm the views here expressed. Calhoun's work, Volume 1, 130 and 137. According to the doctrine of the Federalists, however, in one part of the work, the government of the United States is partly federal and partly national in its operation and in the source from which its powers are derived. This position, however, will not bear the test of examination. The Constitution is admitted to be federal and not national by the same word as has been already shown.
Ah,
I'm going to say that again. This position, however, will not bear the test of examination. The Constitution is admitted to be federal and not national by the same work as has been already shown.
So, going back to Noble Drew Ali when he talks about free national government, the federal government is not national.
Therefore, he's wrong.
He is wrong.
Let me continue.
Now, hold on a second.
Oh, okay.
The federal government is not national. So we do not have a national government.
Mhm.
The nations are the states. They're the ones that have a national government, not the federal government. Because each state is a nation within itself, with its own constitution.
Foreign to each other.
Yep, foreign to each other. That's why they
Mhm.
created the federal government in order to have cohesiveness between the several states with each other. Therefore, that's why the Supreme Court is only predicated towards what the states are concerned with.
Mhm.
If they have a squabble within each other, then the federal government, the federal courts will step in and take care of that. Listen to both sides. But it has nothing to do with you. Okay. Okay.
Let me see. And then, as much as the government derives all its power from the Constitution and is organized on the basis of it, and indeed constituted by it, how the government can be national in any part or in any sense is not easy of comprehension. According to the theory of our institutions, sovereignty vests in the people, and government is constituted by a delegation of civil power and trust for the purposes prescribed. If the general government is to any extent or in any sense a national government, it must be to that extent or in that sense the government of the whole people of the several states collectively or as one consolidated community.
And it's
And this,
not. And it's not.
Mhm.
It's several collective. It's not consolidated community. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you could. And this could not have been brought about without the people of the several states surrendering their sovereignty and transferring it not to the government, but to the whole people of the states collectively.
Mm-hmm.
It has been said that sovereignty is a thing which from its nature is not susceptible of division, that the sovereign power may delegate authority and prescribe limits for its exercise,
Mm-hmm.
but cannot surrender a portion of its sovereignty without ceasing to be the repository of the sovereignty of a state or nation.
What does that mean? Read that again.
It has been said that the sovereignty is a thing which from its nature is not susceptible of division, that the sovereign power may delegate authority and prescribe limits for its exercise, but cannot surrender a portion of its sovereignty without ceasing to be the repository of the sovereignty of a state or nation. Yeah,
Right.
so what does that mean? It's talking about is jurisdiction. That's a jurisdictional thing that is discussing. It's a separation.
Yep. The portion of its sovereignty to do what it needs to do or wants to do without ceasing to be the repository of the sovereignty of a state or nation. That's where they get their sovereignty from, and it can't be given away.
Without stopping to inquire into the correctness of this position, It is sufficient to say that there is no provision in the Constitution of the United States or act in its formation and adoption which amounts to anything like a surrender of sovereignty by the people of the
Mm-hmm.
several states
Mm-hmm.
and a transfer of it to the whole people of the states collectively as a distinct community or consolidated nation of people.
See?
The particulars in which the Federalist claims the government to be partly national and partly federal are the following. First, in regard to the House of Representatives and Congress. Second, in regard to the executive department. And lastly, in regard to the power of amendment.
Mm-hmm.
As to the first, it is said in number 39 of the work that the House of Representatives will derive its powers from the people of America, and the people will be represented in the same proportion and on the same principle as they are in a legislator of a particular state.
Now, check that out. When it says to be partly national and partly federal, are the following. First, in regard to the House of Representatives and Congress. Second, in regards to the executive department. And lastly, in regard to the power of amendments. I don't see judicial in there. That's
No,
why they
sir.
say that is the weakest
Branch.
branch.
Hmm.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm
But
sorry.
why do you think they, and more, and that's a question for the Moors, why do they think they consider that the weakest branch? Because the judicial branch doesn't need to interpret anything. The legislative is the one that has the legislative intent. So wouldn't you go to them to get the answer of why they did something?
Mm-hmm.
When it says
Why
the
they did.
judicial branch is there to interpret something, that's a trick.
Yep.
You want me to continue?
Go ahead, bro.
I lost my spot, but let me
That's
figure it out.
okay. All you gotta do is
Yeah.
let me see.
The fallacy, okay, as to the first number one, I got it. The fallacy of this doctrine is most glaring. All the powers of the government, including those of the House of Representatives, are derived from the Constitution, and the
Mhm.
powers of the Constitution are delegated not by the American people in the aggregate as a distinct community or nation, but by the people of the several states as separate, independent, and sovereign states.
Mm-hmm.
And consistently with the Constitution, it is not competent to elect the members of the House of Representatives by the American people collectively as a distinct community. On the contrary, by the express provisions of the Constitution, they are required to be elected by the people of the several states, not as
Mm-hmm.
composing mere districts of one great community, but as distinct and independent states.
Mm-hmm.
The first bill which passed Congress apportioning the members of the House of Representatives among the several states was vetoed by President Washington expressly on the ground that assumed as its basis that the people of the several states compose mere election districts of one great community instead of being, as in truth they are under the Constitution, distinct and independent parties by the compact upon which the government is founded. Man,
Mm-hmm.
I'm read out. I'm so tired.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a lot to read.
Mm-hmm.
So let's stop right there and just discuss it.
Okay.
Or you want me to keep reading?
Well, you can keep reading. But the terms of the Constitution,
Where you at?
but the terms of the Constitution.
Okay. By the terms of the Constitution, the representatives are apportioned among the several states in a mode expressly prescribed, and they are required to be elected by the people of the several states as independent communities. They may be elected by the people of many states, either by general ticket or by districts.
So
I
that the
lost my
member of
place.
the House of Representatives,
So that the members of the House of Representatives be the mode of election, what it may, are elected as the delegates of the several states in their distinct independent and sovereign character as members of the Union. Neither is it true that the people of each state are represented in the House of Representatives on the same principle and in the same proportion as they are in the legislature of each state.
Mm-hmm.
On the contrary, it is an incontestable fact that they are represented in their respective state legislatures as mere individuals and by election districts entirely under the control of each state and by a ratio or proportion fixed by each state for itself and in different states.
Yeah, all that's saying is that the individuals, they're individuals by proportion of election of districts of each state. They're being represented by the representatives that are elected by districts, not the whole people. Again, from the states. Okay. Continue, please. As to the executive department,
The argument is equally groundless. The President of the United States is elected not by the whole people of the United States in the aggregate as a distinct community or people,
see?
but by electors appointed by each state separately and for itself in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct.
So who votes for the president now? All these people, Democrats, Republicans, they go out to the polls every 4 years and they vote on the president. And what's this saying right here? You don't vote for the president. It's not even your jurisdiction to vote. That's just like
Nope.
that's just like you being in New Jersey and you want to vote in the primaries in Pennsylvania. You can't do that.
Your vote does not count.
Yeah, it don't count.
A popular vote never counted. A matter of fact, there's a court case called the United States versus Susan B. Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
She went to jail. She was charged
Mm-hmm.
for voting in a federal election campaign, and she was charged because she was a New Yorker.
Right. And it wasn't because she was a woman and she wasn't allowed by law to vote. It was the idea that she was a New Yorker and she was not able to vote in the federal election because
And proof,
she's a state citizen,
correct.
not a
And proof
federal
of that,
citizen.
and proof of that is if you had the right to vote, would you need to register?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Every time you go from one state to the other, you had to register. You had to register your vehicle. You had to register your address. You had to get a new driver's license. You got to register everything to become a resident or whatever of that particular state. So here you are registering in order to
This is
vote
why you know. This is
in a
why.
federal
Go ahead.
campaign. Yep, that's all I had to say.
Let me find my place
Okay.
because I'm
No,
and in this case of a failure of, and the electors are expressly required to meet and vote in their respective states. And in the case of a failure of an election by the Electoral College, when the election devolves on the House of Representatives, the votes are required to be taken by states, the representation from each state having one vote, etc.
see, the representation has one vote. Not if you're in Pennsylvania or in New Jersey or North Carolina and your population is, I don't know, 300,000. I don't care, whatever. Those votes don't get there. You only get one vote, buddy. And that's your representative voting for you.
And as the mode prescribed for the exercise of the amending power, I'm trying to get through this. It is
Mm-hmm.
plainly and expressly derived from and exercised under the authority of the people of the several states, acting in their original distinct and sovereign character, and not under the authority of the whole people of the states regarded in the aggregate as a distinct nation, and the modification of the original creating power requiring the consent of each state to make it a party to the Constitution, which provides for the amendment of the Constitution by three-fourths of the states voting as states without regard to population, certainly gives no national character to the government. Neither is it inconsistent with the federal character of the Union, inasmuch as it is provided for by express agreement in the compact. On the whole, it may be said, without the slightest ground for contradiction, that in the formation of the government of the United States, the whole people of the states collectively, as a distinct community or nation, were wholly unknown, and in no respect whatever the source of power, and also that on no operation whatever of the general government is the action of the people of the states in the aggregate as a nation known or recognized in any manner or form whatever. Indeed, the people of the several states of the American Union never have, at any stage of their existence, been consolidated into a single community so as to constitute one distinct people or nation, and as such, of course, never could have exercised any agency or participation, either in the formation or in the administration of this system of government.
Okay, hold on. So when you call yourself an American, that's one community. And what did you just read? What did you just read? Read that again. Go over that again. What you just read. Where you at?
Put your carrier. Where's your? One second, brother.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to see where you at.
Yeah.
I don't know which paragraph. I don't know where I'm at. I read some. Where you want me to read? Start it for me, and I'll read it. What does it say?
Well, okay. Start back at distinct community and nation. Upper right on
Upper
page.
right. Upper right.
Yeah.
Wait a second, man. A distinct community or nation.
Yeah.
Were wholly unknown and in no respect whatever the source of power, and also that on no operation whatever of the general government is the action of the people of the states in the aggregate as a nation known or recognized in any manner or form whatever. Indeed, the people of the several states of the American Union never have, at any stage of their existence, been consolidated into a single community.
See? That's what I'm talking about. Never had they been consolidated into a single community, meaning that you calling yourself an American instead of a Pennsylvanian or New Jerseyan, you know what I'm saying? That's what this is talking about right here. Never been consolidated into a single community. Moorish American, American, period. Okay, read on. I'm sorry.
Now, can you pause for a minute?
Yeah.
This is just too much reading for me, bro. I gotta take a break. Because I'm not even part of the conversation. I don't know what the hell's going on. Meaning, me reading it, I'm lost in my head. So you have to do all the talking because I don't know what's going on. Because it's too much reading for me. It's just too much. This is
I hear you. And that's what I was saying to myself. And you keep on saying, no, bro, all you gotta do is this.
No. Because let me ask you this. I mean, I get it. It's just that I read so much.
I can't read like you.
Yeah, but it's like I'm reading. It's like I'm nowhere near finished. Okay, here we go. Okay, you can start again. I got a breather, man. Go ahead.
All right, you know where you're starting at? Okay. Go ahead.
From what has been said, it must be apparent that the government of the United States was ordained and established by the people of the several states as distinct, independent, and sovereign communities, and that while the governments of the several states derived their respective powers from the people as individuals united under the social compact, in their respective states, the government of the United States derives its power from the states as organized communities united by federal compact.
Federal compact.
Each state government is a government of a community of people, while that of the United States is a government of a community of states.
There you go. See?
I'm going to say that again. Each state government is a government of a community of people, while that of the United States is a government of a community of states. A state government and the United States government are operative in each state, and each has a distinct independent sphere of action. The main objects of the authority of the general government are the relations of the states with each other and with foreign nations and the common defense and welfare of federal union.
Hold on. Say that again. The main objects of the authority of the government, of the general government, are the relationships of the states with each other and with foreign nations.
And the common defense and welfare of federal union.
That's all. That is all that they're supposed to be concerned about. Not individual people.
Leaving the internal affairs and domestic interests of the people of each state to the authority of the state government.
Oh, there you go.
The delegated powers appertaining to government are divided between these two governments, and each is divested of what the other possesses, each acting for itself and by its own separate authority.
Mm-hmm.
The powers of each being entirely distinct and independent of the other, it follows of necessity that the two governments are equal and coordinate governments in each state of the Union, each paramount and supreme within the sphere of its power. The Confederation, which preceded the Constitution of the United States, was subordinate to the state governments, upon which, to a great extent, it was dependent. To remedy the deficiencies of the Confederation, the powers delegated by the Constitution were made independent of the states, so that the government of the Union and that of the several states, having each distinct and independent powers and each distinct and independent spheres of action, becomes equal and coordinate governments. It follows as a necessary consequence that each of the two governments, being independent of the other, each must be supreme within the sphere of its operation, and neither can be subordinate to the other.
There you go. So the states are not subordinate to the federal government, and the federal government is not subordinate to the state government.
That's right.
Two different jurisdictions. Both are in charge of their jurisdiction.
So that the judicial as well as the legislative and executive powers of each must, of necessity, be not only entirely distinct and separate, but also independent of each other. This view of the subject, so far as the separate, independent, and coordinate judicial power of the two governments is involved, is fully sustained by judicial decisions in both the state and in the federal courts.
Okay.
In the case of Martin versus Hunter, 1 Wheat 304, the Supreme Court of the United States declared the doctrine that Congress cannot vest any portion of the judicial power of the United States in any courts except those which are ordained and established under the Constitution of the United States.
Oh, did you hear that? Read that again.
Go ahead and read it, bro.
Okay, Martin versus Hunter. The Supreme Court of the United States declared the doctrine that Congress cannot vest any portion of the judicial power of the United States in any court except those which are ordained and established under the Constitution of the United States. So how many courts do we have in the Constitution of North Carolina? How many?
2.
Okay. How many do we have in the Constitution of the Supreme Court of the United States? The Constitution of federal government. How many courts do we have in there?
In the Constitution,
Yeah, United States Constitution.
it
How
mentions
many how
it
many
mentions
courts do we
2.
have in there?
The Supreme Court and in the inferior tribunals.
No, no, no. All judicial power will consist in one Supreme Court.
Right.
They cannot delegate that power down to no other court. The Supreme Court can't do that.
No,
That's
we
what
can't.
this is just saying right here. Right here. It says the Supreme Court of the United States declared the doctrine that Congress cannot vest any portion of the judicial power of the United States in any court except those which are ordained and established under the Constitution of the United States. If it's not mentioned in the Constitution, you can't give it power. Legislature created them those other courts. They get their power from the legislator, not from the Constitution. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay, man. My mind is messed up here, bro. I can't flow. I feel like I'm not part of this. I'm not part of it. I don't feel I'm just reading and I'm not part of the dialogue.
Oh, that's okay.
Let me where I stop.
Okay,
it is universally, I think that's where I'm at.
Okay, go ahead.
It is universally admitted that while Congress can impose no jurisdiction on the state courts, it is equally incompetent for a state legislator to impose jurisdiction on the federal courts. It is contended further that the Supreme Court of the United States is the tribunal of last resort, clothed with authority to decide all questions touching the extent of its own powers, and also all controversies involving a conflict between the authorities of the federal and the several state governments, and that the appellate jurisdiction of the Supreme Court of the United States over the state courts is necessarily incidental to and results from this power.
Okay. Where we at?
I don't know. One moment. That the Supreme Court of the United States is the court of last resort to determine all cases which may be instituted under the jurisdiction of the federal courts is not controverted, but that this tribunal has not only absolute authority to determine the extent of its own powers, but also constituted an umpire to determine all questions of conflict arising between the several states and the federal government is denied and will be contested so long as the people of this country are capable of preserving their government in its original character. This arbitrary power, once conceded, would enable the Supreme Court of the United States to nullify state laws and even provisions in the state constitutions whenever, in the opinion of that tribunal, there existed any inconsistency between them and any express or constructive authority under the operation of the Constitution, laws, or treaties of the United States. It would annihilate the balance of power between equal and coordinate governments and destroy that check upon the exercise of discretionary powers designed as the great safeguard against usurpation. It is not claimed, I believe, that this high power is derived from any specific provision of the Constitution. but it is claimed to be a right incident to the supremacy of all government to decide as to the extent of its own powers and to use all the necessary means to enforce its own authority.
Mm-hmm.
However, this may be applicable as an incident to a single government vested with all the powers appertaining to government. It is clearly inapplicable to a system where the powers are divided between two distinct and coordinate governments, as is the case here. The very fact that these two distinct governments in one system are coordinate necessarily implies that they are equal and
Mm-hmm.
excludes the idea of superior and subordinate. If either has the exclusive right to judge of the extent of its own powers and also of that of its coordinate and enforces decision against the authority of the other by physical power, not only would equality between them be destroyed, but one would be raised from an equal to a superior, and the other be reduced from an equal to a subordinate.
Mm-hmm.
And the subordinate, thus stripped of the incident appertaining to all government, to judge of the extent of its own powers with a view to their protection, would necessarily sink to the condition of a dependent. Where there is a division of power between coordinate departments of the same government,
Mm-hmm.
each designed as a check upon the other, each must be allowed to judge of the extent of his powers and to maintain its decision against the other. Give me a break, man. I gotta pause. I gotta pause.
Okay. All right.
It's too much reading, man. This is too much.
That's
I don't know
it.
what the fuck I'm
This is the
saying. I
last
don't.
one. This is the last one right here. Last page.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay. You know where you at?
Yeah.
All right. Hold on a second. Go ahead.
Without this, there can be no division of power. To vest power in two departments and give one of them the exclusive right to judge of the extent not only of its own powers and how much was allotted to the other would be no division of power at all. The one would, in effect, hold under the other. But where two governments are distinct, independent, and coordinate, each must possess all the necessary incidental powers appertaining to government within the sphere of its powers, and consequently both must possess the right to judge of the extent of their respective powers with reference to each other. And no
Mm-hmm.
reason can be assigned why one should be allowed the exclusive right to judge as to the extent of its own powers and enforce its decision more than the other. It is therefore one of the necessary incidents to the nature of distinct, independent, and coordinate governments under the same system that each operate as a mutual check upon the other. And in case of conflict of authority, resort is not to be had to force. For neither has the right to force his own decision upon the other, but the appeal is to the people, the sovereign and original source of power, which acts through the ballot box upon the legislation of the country, both state and federal, and when found necessary, can alter the Constitution by amendment.
Mm-hmm.
But it is insisted that as the Constitution, laws, and treaties of the United States are declared to be the supreme law of the land, as the general government is supreme within its own sphere, this supremacy necessarily requires all questions of conflict between its powers and those of any of the states to be determined by the authority of the federal government.
That's it.
Yeah,
All right.
I need a break, bro. I need a break. I'm pissed off. I'm not in a good mood right now.
Oh, it's
I don't
okay,
know
man.
what's
Matter of
going
fact,
on.
we can end it right here. and I can go ahead on and you know, change it over.
I
Let it
don't
do it.
see nobody's gonna understand this. I mean, in order to make it make sense, Green, we're dealing with, we're giving you're giving a we're giving a lot of scholarship to an unlearned group of people who think who think dumb shit, and we just hit them with all the scholarship that they don't have no understanding of what we're talking about because we didn't break it down in layman's terms. We just read scholarship to a group of fucking Moors that don't read shit. So I don't know. I don't know. That was a lot. That was more than to me. That was more than when we read the cooperative federalism.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Yeah, because the cooperative federalism was 8 pages,
Yep. And this is only four.
but the 8 pages in the cooperative federalism, I think, was more in layman terms than this.
Okay.
But that's my opinion. I mean, it's cool. Put it. Let's. I should have read this case first. Then I would be able to discuss it and talk about it and make it make sense where they can understand. I don't know. Maybe they will understand it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
they
Maybe
will.
I'm.
They will. They will. Yep. Yeah. See, I'm gonna throw you back the boomerang. You know, you're too heavy on yourself, bro.
I ain't do nothing. I ain't say shit. All I did was read. So that's
Yeah,
fine. You go ahead
yeah,
and throw
yeah,
it up
yeah.
there.
But you're still a critic saying, well, maybe you should have broke it down, man. Or language term. They don't read. You had to put all that in there. Just put the motherfucker out there. Somebody with some common sense will get a hold of the motherfucker and say, oh, you know, hell,
I
Jesus.
think the last video we clarified or explained Drew Ali better. I don't know. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah, okay,
Just
yeah,
do
we
it.
did. We
We could
did.
just do it. Just
We
because
did.
before giving them the meat and potatoes, they need to understand the flaws. And we ain't really addressed the flaws for them to understand
You
about
did
their
it.
nationality because well, I don't know.
You did it at the beginning of the day going, what you call?
Okay.
Okay. Now, what I'm gonna do is now, okay, are you still on your phone?
No, I hung that up.
Oh, okay then. All right. Uh, I'm gonna go ahead and hang up. You call me on the phone. I'm gonna go ahead on and stop this what you call me and let it
All right.